This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is. He's locked and loaded, ready to go. How you feeling?
Doing good. Yourself?
Excellent. Just can't wait for Thursday, bro. Just want to tack that turkey.
There you go. I do turkey all year round, though, if you ask me.
2 days off this week, Sunday and Thursday. I'm like, this is life for me here, bro. This is awesome. 2 days off this week. That is just a little too much. I can't handle it that I'm getting 2 days off this week. So it's good. At the beginning of the season, some folks had Tua as the worst quarterback in the division. How's it looking now, by the way? Just out of curiosity, not you didn't say that, but there were people out there who say, Tua's probably not the, like our boy what's it called? Mike
T.
Huh?
Mike T. Mike Tannenbaum.
Mike Tannenbaum had Tua as the worst quarterback in the division. So obviously, statistically, he's number one. But just out of curiosity, what do you see out of Zach and Mac? What's in the Zach and Mac show?
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing: is Zach Wilson is, pardon my expression, but is sucking big time right now. And what's worse is it's one thing to play like complete shit, or as Robert Saleh said, complete dog shit. And then after the game, when you're asked, do you feel like your offense, not even directed at him, do you feel like the offense or the defense now, and he can't even bring himself up to say, yeah, absolutely, these guys played their asses off and we let them down? No. Gives a cocky, no. I mean, wow, oblivious much? Like, say what you want about Josh Allen. Remember, was that after the Jets game? I mean, he like took it upon himself. He was like, you can't win when your quarterback plays like shit like I did today. Right. I mean, that's basically what you're supposed to say, and that's what's going to make your teammates rally around you. And maybe a reason why Buffalo players love Josh Allen. And I'm going to get the feeling
you can tell he's a good dude, bro.
Yeah, and Jets players probably hate Zach Wilson because he's got a little bit of punk in him. I mean, that's horrible. And now the dilemma the Jets face is, I mean, they have a playoff caliber defense and then some. And basically, their offense is going to keep them out of the playoffs the way it goes. But you're a year removed from picking them.
A team like that? You ever covered a team like that?
It's vaguely familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's vaguely familiar. I don't know that there's been one to that extreme.
How many years have you covered a team like that, bro? Think about that.
Not to that extreme, dude. I mean, seriously, 2 yards in the second half. Holy smoke! He's bad, and then Mac Jones has regressed, but then again, how much of that, and it's not all of it. Again, nothing is ever just one reason. But he had Josh McDaniel, who by all accounts is a fabulous offensive coordinator. Now he's got Matt Patricia, who by all accounts is far from it. And maybe they're not playing to the guy's strengths. I mean, he's a limited quarterback. That's not exactly a newsflash. So you have to do certain things to emphasize his strengths, and they're not doing that. So, right now there's a clear demarcation in terms of the quarterback play. And Josh Allen, who's a great quarterback, is kind of going through a little bit of a rough patch right now. Some of it is decision-making. Another part of it, you have to wonder how much of an issue this is.
Has to be.
Sorry? Yeah, no, to a certain degree. But, you're looking at why are Buffalo and the Dolphins right now looking like the two teams that logically should be the most dangerous in that division? Well, because they're getting good quarterback play and the other two aren't.
Yeah, no, it's you can tell that they should not be convinced with their quarterbacks now, and I'm sure they're already asking for their backups already in New York. I mean, New England's already had to deal with the Zappy craze as it is, because a lot of fans already want Bailey Zappi ahead of Mac Jones, because it's just fun. It's interesting how people had it all phrased up where, Tua's not the guy. These guys are even better. Although I never believed in Zach Wilson. I got to say, I never saw it. I saw the physical ability, but, I never just fall in love with your physical ability. That doesn't make you a great quarterback, bro. That's the part that I think people still can't decipher at times the physical traits of somebody, and then can they actually be a really good quarterback?
No, and part of it, yeah, because the decision making last year was bad, and the other part that's really coming to light this year is he's not a leader, and it's a position of leadership. And if you're all about me, that ain't going to work unless you're a complete stud, and we all know he ain't that.
Yesterday, your thoughts on the Bills and that game, and then now they've got Detroit on Thursday. How do you assess what the Bills are playing? Because obviously in a couple of weeks, the Dolphins and the Bills are going to meet again.
Well, I would tell you, forget the Dolphins beating them at Hard Rock in September. To me, it looks like a lot more winnable game now than it did at the start of the regular season. There's something off with the Bills. I think, to me, I look at the AFC, and it's clearly
Kansas City.
I know Z's all over the place. Chiefs fatigue syndrome and overdrive. Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship game again. It's going to be the 5th year in a row. And then outside of that, I mean, there's a big mix. I mean, Dolphins, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati could get there if they get hot. Tennessee, I'm not sold because I'm not a huge Tannehill fan, but that guy can coach like nobody's business. And Derrick Henry's the beast, and that defense is tough. So I can see any team, you know, in that mix joining the Chiefs. But again, the Chiefs kind of separated themselves.
That bell was going off every time you made a good point. Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're trying to do?
I'm hitting the bell myself. You don't see it. I activated myself. I'm giving myself points.
But that is the cool part, that now all games are winnable for Miami now that are left on the schedule. It's not like when we were looking at the daunting task of the first month, and then you're looking at the back end of the schedule and you're like, oh my God, these are tough stretches. And now they're going to be tough, obviously still going to be tough, but at least you don't walk in there going, this isn't impossible. This is actually very possible, for this team. This week, I was just joking around with Scott. I mean, seriously, although I may not be throwing the ball too much this week, right? If the running game woke up last week, right, against a bad defense, well, you're facing the worst defense against the run this week. This is another nice week to work on the run game with the offensive line, correct?
I mean, they could play like crap and still win by 10. I mean, it's
right.
It's another good point. And then there you go. No, you're absolutely right. And not only that, even if you don't score 21 points in the first quarter and put them away immediately, it's not like Houston has a ton offensively to really hurt you. I mean, it looks like Davis Mills has regressed after he showed a lot of promise at the end of last year. And now Houston's in a position where likely going to finish with the worst record in the league, and they'll draft a quarterback first overall next year. But there's nothing on that team that really can hurt you. I mean, Larry Tunsil's a great player at left tackle. And then Brandon Cooks is a good wide receiver, except he doesn't want to be there. And then, who else? Damon Pierce is a nice rookie running back, but it's just a really, really bad team. And yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, absolutely. I could see the Dolphins, and another game they'll rush for 200 yards.
Yeah, this is a game where I would love to work on the offensive line and give them even more, confidence going into this finals, because really, this is going to be your best friend. Talk about like beautiful timing. If the running game can really wake up in this second half on a consistent basis with Mostert and now Wilson, brother, for these December games and January games, this is heaven right now if you can actually run the damn ball.
No, and then it's going to come in handy. For example, if the weather's really bad in Buffalo, it's going to be very helpful if you can run the ball really well. And then when they play the Chargers are terrible against the run. So that's a way to beat that defense. So no, absolutely. The more balanced you can be on offense, the better. It's not always going to be working out the way it did against the Browns, because the Browns are really bad. And even Buffalo rushed for 160 yards last year, and Buffalo is not a good running team. And it wasn't Josh Allen, it was Devin Singletary and James Cook who got the yardage. So no, but certainly the opportunity is there. It's just one of those games. I did a story today that right now the line I saw, the opening line was 11. for the Dolphins, or 11.5. That would be their biggest point spread as favorite since 2003. I mean, that's been a long time.
Yeah. And you know what? These guys don't know about it, but man, it would be nice to keep handing Houston a couple losses to catch up for all those expansion years. Because I remember when they stepped into the league, like the first 5 years, I want to say they beat Miami every damn year, dude, right? You covered it. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, funny you should mention that, because that last time they were a bigger favorite than this week was against Houston in the 2003 opener. Houston's second year in the NFL, and then Houston won in Miami 20-19 it was.
Matt Schaub.
Chris Brown kicked the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, Matt Schaub.
It was a late pick. Jay Fiedler threw a late pick, and then Chris Brown kicked the game-winning field goal.
So what would be the percentage now on the Dolphins winning the division? What would you put it at? What percentage?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't know.
They're in first place right now based on the head-to-head matchup with the Bills.
50-50. I'd say 50-50. I say they have as good a chance as the Bills. If you're asking me right now, that's kind of how I don't. The Jets aren't going to win it with that offense, and I don't see the Patriots are too limited offensively. That they're 6-4. It's pretty impressive in itself.
Think about that. Think about that, dude. None of us would have said 50-50 at the beginning of the year. None of us. Okay, even as much as I had confidence in Tua and all that crap, I didn't think this team was going to be better than the Bills, and they have a chance to be better than the Bills this year. That's some shocking stuff, man. I mean, that would be pretty damn impressive.
No, and it's if we're going to be honest, a combination of the two. I think Dolphins are a lot better than we thought they were going to be, and the Bills are not quite the juggernaut that everybody expected them to be. And part of it is maybe some issues that because here's the thing with the Bills is last year they were like 7-5 before they went on. I think it was 7-5 before they went on a run at the end of the year, and then Josh Allen was crazy good in the playoffs, even in the loss at KC, and that was part of the reason why everybody thought, well, okay, that was the prelude, and now they're going to take the next step. Well, the issues that were there when they got to 7-5 early in the last season or through 12 games are still there. They've also had some nasty bad injuries. Losing Micah Hyde was bad. They got Jordan Poyer back for the game yesterday, and that's humongous for them because that guy's a key player in their secondary.
Giants and Vikings both lost. Are they both frauds?
Giants are, but I still think the Vikings are a good team. And this is one of those days where, they got smoked. Giants are not a good team. That's why I had Brian Dable as my coach of the year.
That I will say. I'm with you there. While I think the Giants are frauds, I'm with you. I don't want him to make it sound like anything against Dable. Dable has done a phenomenal job with a team that has flat out overachieved. I'm with you. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. No. They have a stud running back, and they have two really good interior defensive linemen with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. Christian Wilkins, former teammate at Clemson. But outside of that, tell me who on that roster really wows you. And then they were 7-2 before. Now they're still 7-3 with that roster. That's some good work right there.
Yeah,
and that they could get exposed bad. They could get exposed bad too when they play at Dallas on Thursday too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm also with you on Minnesota. I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think when push comes to shove in the playoffs, he'll get shoved. But I'm with you. I like that roster. I like the roster of Minnesota offensively and defensively.
Yep.
Like they've got a lot of talent on that team. They've done a good job of building that team up the last 10 years.
No question. They got good, solid players, a lot of different spots, and they had the mega superstar with Justin Jefferson. No, that's a legitimate team. Like, I'm with you though. I'm not a huge Cousins fan, but I also look at the NFC, and I'm not a huge Dak fan either. Jalen Hurts did a great job yesterday. He still has to show you can do it in the playoffs, but he had a great comeback yesterday in the fourth quarter against the Colts.
Well, you saw it firsthand. A lot of people had little to no patience with Tua in the first couple of years, and kind of either gave up on him or whatever it was. And tonight, you're going to watch a guy with the 49ers and the Cardinals in Kyler Murray, who has gotten every break in the book, who has gotten every bit of understanding in the book. He's also had playmakers around him, has one of the better receivers in the NFL with him that they brought along now the last couple of years. When does Kyler Murray, when does his feet get put to the fire? Because I've been a big Kyler Murray guy, but I got to say, it's time already. You've had enough years to cross that threshold. Show me something. Even what I've seen from Tua in the last couple of weeks, I've never seen that from Kyler Murray. I've never seen him play quarterback at that high level for several weeks. When is Kyler Murray going to feel the pressure?
Never, because of the contract they gave him. I mean, if pressure from within the organization, I don't know. Again, because of the contract.
I mean the periphery. I mean the periphery. Like, people aren't really. They don't challenge him enough out there. You know what I'm saying? Is it because you're in Arizona? Nobody cares?
Maybe. I don't know. I personally have never been a huge fan of the guy. And he's faded badly the last, late in the season. And then in the playoffs, doesn't show up. Was it against the Rams? Was it last year or 2 years ago? Where completely horrendous decision in the end zone. We tried to throw instead of taking the safety. No, I've never been a huge fan of the guy. I am. Yeah, I don't know that he's on the radar that much because they're not a factor. They're meddling around 500, and I'm not even sure he's playing tonight. I think there's an issue with maybe his hamstring. He might miss a game again. It's going to be Colt McCoy against the 49ers defense. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, but I just find it kind of interesting that we put so much heat on a bunch of other young quarterbacks at times, you know what I mean? And he kind of gets to, kind of go under the radar a lot. And he's gotten his big contract. He's gotten help. They brought what they thought was an offensive mind to kind of go with his talents and all that kind of stuff. And, it's,
I mean,
I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying?
But he's had flashes. Like, for example, you take the Vegas game early this year. I mean, that was a crazy performance where that buys him maybe some time, and then he has 2 or 3 bad performances in a row, and then maybe you're going to start thinking, some complaining about his performance. Then he's going to have another good game, but the consistency is just not there, and I don't know. It's kind of a floundering organization to me. I don't see them progressing to anything at all.
All right. Anything on Byron Jones, bro?
Question was asked. In fact, the first question, same as it ever was. Hopeful and optimistic were the words from Mike McDaniel as far as him playing sometime this season, but not this week.
You got the reference, right?
Same as it ever was. Very good.
There you go.
Very nice. Thank you, David Byrne.
There
you go. Get the reference.
I figured. I count on you to get that reference.
Well, I'm the one who used same as it ever was, so that's technically you're the one who got the reference.
All right, so what's it called? Tell them what you're doing on alldolphins.com, my friend.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I did a story on looking at the Dolphins' progress from a odds maker perspective. Did you know this is the fifth consecutive game that they'll be favorite 7 times this season, which matches the total for all of last year and all of 2020, and it ain't the last time they're going to be favorites. No. I did the recap of the Mike McDaniel press conference's comments. A lot of questions today about scripting, which somebody had asked me in the mailbag, and he basically says you go into every game with 24 plays, 12 runs, 12 pass plays, not including third down. And then they adjust depending on the game circumstances. It's not like we have to check off all 24. And then the locker room's about to open in about 10, 15 minutes. We'll see what comes out of there. And we'll have 87 stories again, as always.
As always, cranking it out. I'm 2 wins away from cashing in my ticket in Vegas. I took the Dolphins over 8.5. So this week they'll get their 8th, and I know they'll pick up the 9th win easily. So that was, to me, a layup this year on that one. And let me tell you something. A lot of us that looked at it this way, because I did, because people said, what do you expect them to be, a playoff team? I said, hell yeah. They've been a 9-10 win team the last couple of years. The only thing you need to do is fix the goddamn offense. Well, guess what? You fix the offense, you're headed for 11 or 12 wins now instead of 9 or 10.
Okay, got to run their opening locker room.
Later. Get out of here. Go do your work. Love you. There you go. Alain Poupart. He is awesome. We love him. Great work as always. And that is your EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.